Hi there and welcome to Wander and Frame. Have you ever wondered what it's really like to work as a full-time photographer? The summer is here and with that my busiest photography season. Photo sessions, edits, travels, workouts, solo parenting, balancing all of that. In today's episode I'm going to take you behind the scenes of 1 week of my life in summer season. Join in! Monday morning and the busy week starts now. This day I had kindergarten photography and I started the morning with children portraits and siblings portraits. This day was split in 3 big chunks, one in the morning, one midday and one in the evening for the people who have kids coming from other schools so that they could take it after their work. I don't do kindergarten photography very often anymore. I only take a few kindergartens and schools every season, but this kindergarten I photographed for the last 5 years, and when they asked nicely, I said sure. And it's really fun to photograph the same kids year after year and see them grow. After I was done photographing in the forest, I came back home and I had a short break where I backed up my pictures, worked a little bit and changed my clothes. Later in the evening I went to see my daughter's dress rehearsal with her theater class. 9 p.m. I was back home and I prepped my gear for the day after. And then more office work and cooling pictures, picking out the best ones before I made everything ready for Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning I went to photograph the same kindergarten kids, but this time it was group pictures in their kindergarten. Sometimes I do both group pictures and portraits in the same day, but not every kindergarten likes it this way, so yeah. In the evening I went climbing with my friends and I loaded my car with even more different kind of gear. Half past 10 in the evening I had another photo session, this time engagement session. In summer season I work really late a lot of times because we have midnight sun and this is the most beautiful lighting you can have during the day. So when it's feasible I always schedule the photo session in the evening so that we have a chance to capture the best light. I came home after midnight and I had to do some gear prep and I had to do some office work as well because Wednesday morning I had another photo session which I had to be ready for. On Wednesday morning I had a newborn photography session, but before that I had to clean my studio and prep it. Before every newborn photo session I send a link to my clients where I show what kind of color combinations are possible, what kind of props could be used, what kind of setups could be used, and then they can pick out a few different setups. This way I can prep my studio in a way that my clients would love their pictures after their photo session. This family chose white, beige and a little bit of pink for their color palette, and we also agreed to go outside if the weather allows. This baby girl was so adorable. I had no problems to photograph her, and we made several different setups, several different color combinations, and I took her outside, so I was pretty happy with the results. In the evening, I picked up some rental randonnée skis for my friend, and we went on the last split boarding and randonnée skiing tour of this year. I made a separate video about that, so I'm not gonna go into details here now. On our way back home, we had a spontaneous cold plunge under the midnight sun, just for fun. On Thursday, we had a major downpour, and I had another group of kindergarten children to work with. We made it work even in the rain, but absolutely everything was soaking wet, and I felt kind of miserable there after 3.5 hours in a downpour. A couple of days later, when I went through the pictures from this day, I discovered that some of the pictures turned out way too blurry. And I realized that I had to reschedule some of the clients because my camera got some moist inside between the filter and the lens, and even though I was drying it every single minute, it didn't really help. Yeah, you see. Normally it's not a problem to work under the rain, but apparently after 3.5 hours with downpour it can be problematic. All I wanted to do after this rainy day is to sit on the couch and eat cherries, but I knew it was time for a workout, and after a couple of hours on the couch I forced myself into the gym. And I was happy that I did, because suddenly I had some progression on my exercises, and it's always nice to see the progress. Last time I tried this calisthenic pose, I had no chance of lifting my feet, and now I suddenly could, so I was really surprised that it worked out a little bit. And then more office work in the evening, of course. On Friday daytime I had office work, and after dinner I spent some time with my children in the garden, and I also tried to mow the lawn, but this machine had some kind of malfunction mid-work, so I had to take a break and wait until my neighbor would come and help. This day I didn't have time for a proper workout, so since me and the kids were skipping rope for a little bit, I decided to take it further and squeeze in a little bit more exercises. So I did a short session with pull-up training. I'm still not quite there with my pull-ups, but yeah, slowly getting to the goal. In the evening I had a portrait photo session with a girl. In Norwegian it's called konfirmantfotografering. In Norway, confirmation is a coming-of-age tradition for teenagers, like graduation and senior portrait. So many teenagers, they take confirmant pictures for the thank you cards and also for the memories. You see the dress this girl is wearing. It is called bunad. This is a traditional Norwegian costume, often used for celebrations like confirmations, weddings and National Day. A bunad is a very expensive piece of clothing, but the idea of the whole thing is that you can buy it once and wear it for the rest of your life. When I was back at home, I finally finished my workout and I did it quickly in the garden. When the life is busy, it's not always possible to do one proper workout in one go, but I think it's better to fraction it and make it as 3 separate shorter sessions instead of not doing anything. Saturday morning, the kids went to visit their grandma, and I took advantage and went for a run in the nice sunny weather. And I also finally finished that lawn mowing process, even though the machine broke down once again. And as always, more office work in the evening, because when you take a million pictures during 1 week, then somebody has to handle this load, and this somebody is definitely you. Well, unless you outsource some work to other people, but I don't do that at the moment. Sunday was a rainy day again, and in order to unglue the kids from the TV screen, we decided to bake buns. And while the dough was rising, I sent the kids to play outside, and myself, I went to the gym to do a final workout of this week. Not very long time ago, I was scared of lifting above 100 kilos on my bar, because it just sounds like such a huge number. But this day I managed to lift 117 kilos. So now I'm excited to see how my body would handle above 120. Not all the exercises went equally well, so I had to scale back the level of ambitions. Wrapping up my workout, I realized that I'm running out of time, and I sent the kids to finish the buns alone while I was showering. Because after that I still had to make a dinner before we went to the cinema to watch a movie. This was a typical week in my summer season as a busy full-time photographer, but a lot of Saturdays I also work at local weddings, or a lot of times I travel for elopements and other photo sessions in other places in Norway and beyond. So if you are wondering if it's possible to survive and make living as a full-time photographer, the answer is yes, absolutely, but you should be able to handle a pretty huge workload, have a lot of structure in your life, and be willing to make some compromises and sacrifices. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please tell me in the comments if you like this kind of lifestyle. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this type of content, and as always, see you in the next video. Bye!